Megan Hicks of I Run Far, and I'm with Bryon Powell of I Run Far. He's one of the finishers of the 2018 Hardrock 100 Endurance Run. This is your third finish and my first time interviewing you.
Hello, Megan.
Hey, Bryon. How's it going?
It's all right today. Got a little sleep, got a little food.
So, you ran Hardrock.
Yeah, I did. It was awesome because it's Hardrock.
Yeah, this was your third run of Hardrock. I would say you are considerably lucky when it comes to getting through that whole lottery process.
I suppose so. Yeah.
So
do what I can. I mean, I got last year did trail work and got an extra ticket for that, and now I'm trail boss trained and helped lead a small crew at this year's trail work weekend. And yeah, I love this race and do what I can to come back.
Yeah, so on that lucky day last December when your name was drawn for the third time and you began shaping your 2018 towards Hardrock, the journey began.
It did, but fortunately, Hardrock's a race that you could probably do too much too soon, and fortunately I didn't. I just trained on the roads around home in Moab for the winter and built up a little bit of a base, which kind of went away during a lull in the spring, but yeah, I mean, if I got into Hardrock, my year turns into what am I doing before Hardrock, and everything shapes around that. Yeah,
so you have sort of an interesting life setup in that your life requires a fair amount of work and travel. So you've been covering some big races around the world in the months preceding Hardrock, in the months that you're supposed to be training big. But in fairness, a lot of other people have a lot of other things going on in your life. What have you learned in your build-ups to these big races about how to budget time or not?
I mean, I guess I wrote a little bit about this a couple months ago, but I guess I have a very episodic life in terms of huge workloads. So I budget time when I can't train. I mean, I can go get out every day and do a shakeout or something and stay sane, but yeah, where I'm not training per se. And then when I do have times when I can train more, I do, before a big race. So might be more mileage or time training in a given week than I would want to do if I was able to do it consistently. But since I can't, I do more. And then, I'm just going to do a 30-mile week with flat running around Squaw Valley before Western States. And to go with the flow, unfortunately, I kind of had a picture for a pulse in the beginning and middle of June. One of the weeks was kind of lost to the smoke because of the wildfires here, and I wasn't going to do big training runs. It was doing 3 miles in town to not destroy my lungs. And then a week was lost to work that kind of expanded further back from Western States than had been planned. So it was a challenge, and it can be frustrating at the time, but you also need to remember, for 100, if you've been running ultras for any length of time, if you've been running for some years, you can fall back on some of that fitness as long as you can get for Hardrock, some vert training up and down. You can give away some of that volume because you just have that base from years, and you can kind of rely on that more. If I had life come up and I had to do Hardrock on 30 miles a week, I could do it. I mean, it might not be as quick, but I know I could prepare by getting those couple key workouts in.
Getting around the loop, not necessarily in a fast time, but getting around the loop.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like you are better known in this community as an ultra running journalist and sort of a community leader rather than being known for your running, but you've run a ton of 100-milers.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a count, but it's somewhere around 10.
Yeah.
Or 10 finishes and couple DNFs.
Couple misfires there.
Yeah, a couple of those were lack of investment and just kind of jumping in something, but yeah, a couple fails as well.
Does there are feelings that being on the starting line of a 100-miler in particular that are evoked at the starting line of a race. What was going on in your mind on Friday morning?
Just hanging out with my friends. It's funny because I don't have those
Oh.
I got it before 100-miler. I'm totally calm. If you line me up for a 5-mile fell race or something short, I'm going to be quaking in my boots. Like, I'm scared. Yeah. If there was a Thanksgiving 5K, like, oh my God, I'm like nervous. 100 miler? Like, what are you going to do? Like, I might like be worried that I'm going to screw it up and go out too hard or something like that. But I'm not like, you could not quite hit for 17 hours at Hardrock. And if things were good for the last 13, 14 hours, like that would be a really good day for me. So yeah, just hanging out.
We had the I Run Far team. There were 20 of us stationed around the course, and a few of the updates about you were made public on the internet, but most of them were privately sent to me. And I feel like 99.1% of them ish.
So I want to hear what this is, because like I have no idea what's gonna.
Were about like the unique things that you were eating and drinking. You had a buffet around the San Juans?
Oh yeah, and a non-typical buffet.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it was always these communications about the unusual things you were eating and drinking. Like,
yeah.
Unusual in the ultra running sense.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know that there was like anything. What would be unusual?
Yeah.
Well,
I heard you guzzled maple syrup out of a large maple syrup jar. Like, that's ultra running. We're a bunch of quirky people, but that's an unusual sight.
Yeah. Well, I actually do. I take like maple syrup gel. Like I have a mix of like traditional like goo energy gels and chews of various sorts. And as well as untapped, like those maple syrup packets, like 100 calorie, just like a gel. And I like those during races, but just a way to get a couple 100 calories in one shot. I just can take a big swig out of a pint of New England maple syrup, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. At that aid station, I also had fries, and somehow I guess maybe my nieces put a couple of chicken nuggets in my fries, so I just carried this little paper bin of French fries and chicken nuggets out of the aid station, and I knew my stomach went coming out of URA 2 years ago, so I wanted to go easy, and I did. Do we want to jump under that awning for a sec?
Maybe. We're just gonna move real quick. This is somebody's house, but oh well. Maybe back it up a wee bit more.
On the fly. There we go. You get on the uphill side.
Okay. Oh, we switched sides too. You talked about, you were saying your stomach went
2 years ago. I mean, it's typically where I was around this, within the same scale of time coming through, and it's the end of. I'm gonna move
our bags
real quick.
Oh yeah, grab my camera. Both of them.
Welcome to Hardrock, folks.
This is somebody's house too, which is hilarious.
All right.
You wanted to make sure your stomach didn't going out of URA again this year.
Well, it's the time of day where it's late afternoon and it's heated up, and the way the box canyon works, it thermally radiates, and it's kind of, we're along the western side of that canyon, so it gets warm, and I knew I wanted to go easier out of that, like intentionally easier. So I felt like I could just take in a lot of calories and then just spend half an hour moving, but moving more relaxed and just taking my time to get out of that canyon. And it did.
So nutrition.
Oh, and this isn't really necessarily with food, but I thought of it after the fact from 2 years ago. And that's going in the Uncompahgre, like at Western States, like if it's a hot year.
Did you end up getting in the river?
Oh yeah, for like 60 or 90 seconds. And it's cold, so you don't need to go in too long. But I went in the river and laid down. And got all my clothes wet. And cooled my body off, and I was wet until we were high elevation and it was cooler. So,
and so, were you able to keep your stomach all of the race? Were you eating all the way through the end?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh. What happened?
I don't know when my stomach started going, but I had a little, what I hope was going to be a reset of right around Cataract Lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a double session. And it was kind of like stop, kneel down, puke, stand up, go a little bit further, puke again, and then keep going. Like it was like just it's kind of fun. It was like a matter of fact, like puke and go. And it was like 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and I really don't have a problem and didn't this race with like feeling overly sleepy, but it's still there a little bit. And it kind of woke me up and kept going.
So was it a legit puke and rally session? Were you able to reset?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't eat a ton right after that, but in terms of like feeling good.
Okay.
It started because I tried to do some running on like there's a bunch of like flatter sections.
Okay.
And so I just did a little jogging, and that turned real quick. So I walked a little bit, but then I was able to, one of my goals for this year is I just had a death march through that sort of Pole Creek stretch 2 years ago, and I wanted to be able to run some of it, and I did.
Okay.
And not all of it. I'd still love to nail that section someday, but yeah, it was better, and it was nice.
A place where you have in the past and both this year liked to go train is in Cunningham Gulch, which this year represents the ending of the race. The climb up Little Giant is the final climb of Hardrock.
Yes, it is.
You did it a couple days before the race. You'd done it a few times before. What's it like to, make it most of the way around the loop and to come up such a familiar space, but such a familiarly like awful, hard place?
It's interesting because I'm not intimidated by it, which is nice. Like it's a 2,600 foot climb in 2 miles, up to almost a hair under 13,000 feet. So it's a legit climb. And I know it's what I'm gonna have to take pauses on, but you just make progress. Like I did a little bit better. I think I was slower this time than 2 years ago, but I was better at making continual progress.
Okay.
Like, I did sit down on plenty of rocks. It was funny because I don't know, but like 2/3 of the way up the climb, Darla and Sean Meiser, a good friend, was pacing her, came up pretty close behind me, and like I kept walking, and I was walking quicker than them. And then I'd sit on a rock, and Meiser, who's a good friend who loves to give me shit, would do so. And yeah, it was I just did what I had to do and got up the climb. There's a bench maybe 600 feet below the pass we go over, and below that we started seeing hearing thunder and seeing lightning, and it raining, and we sort of got motivated. Sean's like, every time he see me, like, don't sit, get over this pass. There's like a
before the storm comes.
Which it never hit too bad, but.
So in terms of crew and pacers, this year you chose to go pacerless.
Yeah.
But you had a 4-person crew represented by your sister and her family.
Yeah.
Interesting people situation.
It was awesome. I've run Hardrock 3 times. The first time my sister crewed me, then my sister and brother-in-law, and then this time Maya and Nora and my 2 nieces joined them. They're 7 and 9, and it was awesome.
And they crewed you at every location until about midnight, and then they were with you again in the morning. Like, they were troopers. I mean, there was a little campsite set up for them that your family set up at Grouse for them to wait for you.
Yeah, and even it's awesome that Maya, the older of the 2, like went and woke up Nora, the younger, like when I came into Grouse. So it was just so cool to see them, and it's been really fun afterwards getting reports of like how excited they were, like setting up the aid stations, and to run in with them was just awesome.
But you kind of dropped them.
I was trying to get them to roll.
But they're sea level kids at 9,000 feet.
Yeah. They're working on it. They had a good hard block. I look forward to having them in another hard block one of these days.
Aww. Like, let's face it, the opportunities that you have in trail and ultra running are pretty robust. You could race so many races around the world. People would love to have Bryon Powell of I Run Far there, but you sort of have chosen Hardrock as one of your favorites. Can you articulate why?
I mean, not without being trite, because it's the beauty, it's the community, it's the family, it's the challenge. Like it's joyous and like humbling beyond belief. Like just the mountains themselves and the wildflowers and the sky. Like there was a Venus, and the moon and Venus were in conjunction, and I've never seen Mars so red as it was all night long. Like yeah, just the setting and the people and the family, like the people I'm out on the course with, you just, everybody's rooting for the other person. Like I was hoping Darla would fly by me on the final descent, like, cause I was with her up there. Like, it just, you want everybody to have their best day. And it's such a special feeling. I mean, there are a few things more meaningful to me than like being at and running Hardrock, like, and the challenge, like, I mean, it breaks you down, like in a,
why do you like that?
I don't know, because I've interviewed so many people, and like there are people who legitimately love being in the dark space. Like I've talked to like Timothy Olsen would say that, and I remember talking to a couple other people this year about that. And not me, like I don't like to suffer, but I like it. It's a great way to stay humble and to find your limitations. And like yesterday, I was like, I found out I'm a wuss, like, and I'm okay with it, and then I'm okay with that. Like I wasn't gonna like there was really no inkling of like wanting to stop, but it's just like I'm fine like going through this journey, and like I'm fine doing it at what might not be maximal effort. Like I'm tired and I'm in pain, and I'm gonna keep moving forward and going forward, but like why not, like there's nothing wrong with taking that extra sit on a rock for 10 seconds, like. And there might be other days where that motivation is different, but yeah, it's just kind of fun to realize that and be like, okay, yeah.
3 finishes, 3 starts.
Yeah.
There's gonna be another lottery in another half a year or so. Is this?
It will have Bryon Powell's name in it.
It's not even a question.
No, well, it's almost. It's 23 hours after I finish. Well. 23 hours and 2 minutes. And
after you're counting.
There were times during the race late in the race, where I was like, maybe I'll take a couple years off. Cause it is so hard.
The demanding aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's in it both partially the training commitment. I could do it with less, but I wouldn't want to necessarily, unless I've already committed to it. But just the hours of difficulty, like my feet really hurt for a really long time. And people see me and I'm in these little ballet slippers, New Balance 1400s. But I talked to somebody else sitting behind me in the award ceremony, and he was wearing Maximal shoes, and he had the balls of his feet were just beat up, and it's
same issue, different shoes.
Well, and it's because we're both middle-aged men, and
you're a middle-aged man.
I am officially.
Okay.
And like we just have shorter calves and Achilles, like lower leg complexes. So when we're climbing, we're up on our toes. And it's funny, Nikki, Kimball, who's a PT, was going up toward Grand Swamp Pass with me, and we were just having a train and having a great time. And she's walking behind me. He's like, "Do you have short Achilles?" Yeah.
Because of the way you were hiking uphill?
Yeah, because I was just up on my toes. And like there's times when I try to drop down, and it's not painful to do so, but it's just not at this point in my life what's natural.
Okay.
So I'm just up on the balls of my feet for 40 hours, or not 40 hours, 20 some hours of the race. Like it's just painful.
Final question. You finished Hardrock. You had a couple days off of work. Yeah, you're going to have to return to work and
I already have, actually.
process these interviews and communicate back out to the world again. But somewhere in there probably has to be some sort of award, something you're going to treat yourself with for this. Really? You haven't thought of anything?
That's I forget the term for that, but like, yeah, it's not how I really motivate myself.
Not even an intangible type of award of like
that was the reward.
Okay.
The journey is the reward. I mean, like both to and during. Like, I had my day and a half off. I had, like, yeah, just the joy of getting to do Hardrock. That is it. Though, I have the harder part of my double coming up.
Yeah,
I have to go to the outdoor. I mean, people who follow I Run Far see the outdoor retailer like semi-annual updates on shoes and gear and stuff. Well, that starts tomorrow morning. I'm going to skip the first day of the show and show up tomorrow night and start going to the show on Tuesday. But rushing from appointment to appointment around the Denver Convention Center will be a challenge. On the flip side of that, there will be some reward. I think on Wednesday night, I'm going with some friends to a Rockies game, maybe. Nice. There may be a beer or two consumed there. Not too many, but like
there may be.
Denver's a great beer city, so I'll probably walk to Great Divide and have a Yeti one of those days. Okay. And then I ran track and cross country in college outside of Philly. So a lot of my friends from college it was a really tight team, and people I'm still in touch with today. They all live on the East Coast, so they every year have a sort of a summer reunion, going to one city and going to some baseball games and going for some runs and having a beer or two. And this spring, I got an email from one of the teammates saying, I know you don't live anywhere near Denver. You live in Moab, but we're having our gathering in Denver this year.
And you're like, well, actually,
and here's the week,
Colorado this summer,
and I will actually be in Denver for the Outdoor Retailer Show. And this little reunion starts Thursday evening, and the show ends Thursday morning. So I'm just going to stay in Denver and
hang out with your college.
Hang out with the old goats.
Are you going to run? With them?
Yes.
They'll be running.
They'll be running in.
Everybody still runs.
I think everybody who's showing up still runs.
Okay.
It was a team that really fostered. It was a very good competitive team, but from the fastest to the slowest, it was who you just worked and you committed yourself, and it didn't matter. We were the first sub 4 minute D3 miler on the team, and we had team captains who are running 17:45 5Ks, like for a guy in college, like not the fastest, and like if you were a leader, you were a leader, and so just kind of instilled that in me is like just be committed and give your all and be part of the effort, and like that's awesome. So
that kind of translates to ultra running,
just a little bit, and
your job of I Run Far, and a lot of your personality,
maybe.
On that note, congratulations on your third Hardrock finish, 32 hours and 40 minutes.
Thanks,
and best of luck in next year's lottery.
You too.
I know. Lottery gods, are you listening?
Yes, Megan.
Is it going to be my turn yet? Again?
I just have to add. Well, thank you. And thanks, Bill Duper, for everything.
Thanks, Bill Duper. Yeah, this week was a
tribute, a memorial.
It was a grand celebration of Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill
in a lot of ways.
Bill was definitely here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was here, but he was also not here.
It was conspicuous.
Yeah.
His absence.
Yeah, his physical presence wasn't here, but his spiritual presence was, for sure.
He was well remembered.
Yeah. Probably saw him out on the course bunch.
Yeah.